Hey folks, it's Dave with the Gamehounds here and also the RatCast Rewind. We have an update on the NHL 19 Legends and Alumni list. I believe they have now released the entire list, so we had talked to some of you before about who you wanted to see. Well, let's see who's in the game. How did y'all list do? How did my list do? Let's find out. Okay, here's the first page. So here's some of the skaters. We'll go right down the list here. Aaron Broughton, Adam Graves, Adam Hall, Adam Oates from the Bruins. Good to see some Bruins in there. A coin. Al the Planet, Aya Frady, Al McGinnis, a couple of big defensemen with big slap shots in there. I'm not sure who Macaulay, Albert, I'm not sure. Castles, I know. Andy Bathgate. Bernie Federico, yeah. St. Louis Blues back in the day. Way to go. Boom, boom. Jeffrey on in there as well. Billy Barber, the Broad Street Bullies. Blaine Stolten, Blake Dunlop. Why do I get Blake Dunlop always confused with Reggie Dunlop? I don't know, but I do. From the island is Nystrom, also Bobby Probert, Bobby Carpenter, local guy, Bobby Carpenter, Bobby Clark from the Flyers, Bobby Holik, and Bobby Hull as well from the Blackhawks. Boya Saming from the Leafs, Brad Maxwell, Brad Park, another big Bruins and Ranger player there. Love Brad Park. Brendan Morrison, Brett Hull's in here. Brian Bellows, yeah, I think he was with the North Stars. Good to see Brian Bellows in here. Brian Bradley, not real familiar with him. Brian Leach, we all know Brian Leach, defenseman. McGrattan, Brian Propp, oh, interesting choice there. He played with the Bruins after he played with the Flyers. Brian Propp, good to see here. Marchment, Brian Trottier from the Islanders. You know, I think Brian Trottier actually played some roller hockey in the professional roller hockey league that was on ESPN2. Oh boy, and I'm forgetting the name of this league now, but it was on ESPN2 for a while, and I should know this being in the roller hockey business. It's just been a long day, and I don't remember the name, but the RHI, Roller Hockey International, there it is. He actually played in that. There was a few NHL guys that played in Roller Hockey International during that summer. I think it was 94 or 95. They were trying to get that league going, and I remember him playing in that. So Trottier's in there. Butch Goring with the from the Kings with that weird helmet there. Cale Hulse, not familiar with him. Conacher, I've heard of Conacher, not real familiar with him. Obviously Chris Chelios. Chris Clark. Oh, holy cow. Knuckles. Nyland is in the game. Boy, they got plenty of enforcers. Probert, Nyland. Oh, set the fight level to high. Chris Phillips, not familiar with him. Chris Pronger. We know Chris Pronger. Bradner and Kobasu round out this list here. Going on to the next page. Clark Gillies. Remember him and O'Reilly going at it back in the 80s. Clark Gillies from the Islanders. Claude Lemieux. Could do without that guy in the game. Cliff Coral, that's another name from back in the day. Corey Cross, not familiar with him. Hotsburg, Craig Ludwig, Craig Simpson, Curtis Lecision, Dale Howachuk, oh, Winnipeg Jets getting represented here. Dallas Smith, oh, going old school Bruins here. Dan Quinn, Darren McCarty, Daryl Sittler, got some Maple Leafs going on. Dave Andrechuk, Dave Babich, Elliot, Dennis Potvin, a lot of Islanders on here. Dennis Savard, oh boy, he was so good. He was like the spinorama guy back in the early 80s. Dennis Savard, a lot of fun to watch. Oh, Dennis Hull as well. Good to see another Hull in here. Dennis Marouk, Derek Plant, Dick Duff, didn't know Dick Duff. Donnie Marcotte, another old Bruin getting on here. Don Ori is another doing back-to-back Bruins here. Bodger, Dougie Gilmore, Brown, Ingerfield. Not familiar with Ingerfield. There's a few guys on this list that I'm not real familiar with. Eddie Olczyk. Good to see Eddie get out of the booth and back on the ice. Errol Thompson. Frank Mahavlich. Ooh, got one of the Mahavliches in here. Good to see. Gary Unger. Another guy from the 70s. Gary Volk. Garth Butcher, Dornhofer, Gary Roberts, Glenn Anderson, Gord Murphy, defenseman, Marshall, Guy Carbonneau, Guy Lafleur. A lot of Canadians here. Harry Howell, I should say. Andre Richard and Howie Morenz. I think these are all Canadians from different eras. Pretty wild. Let's take a look at the next skater list. Larionov, Langenbrunner, Yari Curry, Jason Onov, Jean Beliveau, and Jean Rattel. Canadians and Bruins here. Boca Boom, Lettinen, Roenick, Jimmy Dow, Jody Hull, Jody Shelley, Neuendijk, Joe Sakic, of course, Joe Watson from the Flyers. The Broad Street Bullies well represented here in NHL 19. Joel Otto, I believe he was Calgary Flames. Joey Koser, John Cotter. I think John Cotter, was that the Bruins player? Johnny Cotter? That might be. John McLean, Johnny Mox, Ogrodnik, Johnny Busick with the Bruins. Over here on the second list, second side here, Yerky Lume, Keith Brown, Keith Carney, Keith Prima. A lot of Keiths here. Keith Kachuk. Yeah, we're familiar with the Kachuks in our league, aren't we? Baumgartner, Ken Danico. Oh, my gosh. We used to say Ken Danico used to have his head poured into the helmet. It just looked like it was like a big cement head with that helmet that he had. It's just a weird-looking helmet. But anyway, Kenny Hodge, more 70s Bruins on here. Ken Linsman, the Rat. Kevin Lowe from the Oilers. Lanny the Mustache McDonald. Larry Murphy. Larry Robinson of the Canadians. Luke Robitaille. Luke Richardson, another Kings member here. Marcel Dion. Zidlicki. Mario Lemieux, of course. Mario Mawa. Mark Bell. Mark Howe. One of the Howes in here, besides Gordy. Nice. And Mark Messier. Let's move on to the next page. Marcus Naslin, Marty McSorley over here. Marty Reasoner. Matt Sundin. I think he was a Leaf. He might have been a Nordique, too. I'm not sure. Pavanka. Michel Goulet. He was a big guy with, I think he was Nordiques and Blackhawks as well. Mike Commodore, Mike Donnelly, Mike Gartner. Johnson, Mike Knuble. Wow, that's a somewhat recent Boston Bruin. Mike Kruseniski was great in Boston. Was great when he went out to L.A. I think he played for a while, too, with the Oilers as well. Always liked Kruseniski. Leclerc, Mike Modano of the Stars. Mike Pellick here. Sillinger. Murray Barron. Not familiar with, but sounds familiar. I'm thinking of a goalie, I think. I'm thinking Marco Barron, the goalie for the Bruins. Kyprios, Libet, Owen Nolan. Yeah. Pat LaFontaine and Paul Coffey. Pat LaFontaine. Paul Loves. Peter Mahavlich. So we have Frank Mahavlich and Peter Mahavlich. We're seeing a lot of Bruins, Canadians, and Flyers in this game. That is really cool for an old guy like myself. Peter Forsberg, Peter Stastny, Peter Stemkowski, Phil Hosley, R.J. Umberger, Randy Burridge, another Bruin from the 80s era, Ray Ferraro. Is that chicken palm, chicken dinner Ferraro? I think it is. Rajan Uhl of the Canadians. Rick Middleton. There it is. Favorite Bruin, next to Bobby Orr, of all time. Rick Middleton is in the game. Real excited about that. Rick Smith from the Bruins. Rick Vive, I think he was with the Sabres. Rob Blake, he was with the Kings and the Avalanche. Rob Ramage, Robert Cron, Brenda Moore, Langway. Langway was with the Capitals, I believe. Rod Sealing and Ron Duguay, they were both Rangers, I believe. Ron Ellis and Ron Harris. Let's take a look at the final page. Steve Tomich, Stu Gavin, Sylvain Lefebvre, Tyler Pratt, Ted Lindsay, Terrible Ted, Timu Solani, Teppo Newman, and Terry Hopper, Terry O'Reilly. Oh boy, are we going to see O'Reilly and Clark Gillies go at it? That would be kind of neat. Theo Fleury, Ty Domi. Boy, a lot of rough and tumble guys here in the Legends. Tim Horton, Tim Taylor, Marchant, Simpson, Chorsky, Albeline, Tanty, Trevor Linden, Tyler Kennedy, Uwe Krupp, Vernon Fiddler, and rounding out the list from the Rangers, Vic Hatfield, also Wayne Redden, Wayne Carlton, Wayne Smooth Carlton from the Bruins. When Bobby Orr scored the goal, Wayne Smooth Carlton was on the ice. I think he was the first guy to get to Orr right before Sanderson came in. And I think Wayne Carlton actually covered at the point for Orr when Orr pinched in on the play. Double check me on that, but Wayne Smooth Carlton was out on the ice when they scored that goal, I'm pretty sure. Obviously, we know Gretzky, 1 o'clock, Willie Mitchell, and Yvan Cournoyer from the Canadians. Wow, solid list of skaters there. Still no Bobby Orr. Not understanding that, but there's no Bobby Orr. And let's take a look at the goaltenders now. Good list of goaltenders here. Chevrier, Andy Moog, Bernie Perron over here. Billy Ranford, Billy Smith, Hayward, Chris Mason, Chris Terreri, Schwab, Curtis Joseph, Dan Bouchard of the Atlanta Flames. I think he played some time with the Quebec Nordiques as well. Good to see. Madeley, Dave Dryden. Dave Dryden. I don't see Ken Dryden over here, but we have his brother Dave, who played, 6.5 minutes with the Buffalo Sabres? Come on. Oh, man. Sotat, I think he was with the Jets back in the day. Eddie Belfour, Eddie the Eagle. Evgeny Nabokov. Gary Smith. Is this Suitcase Smith from the Seals? Is this really Gary Suitcase Smith from the Seals, who I think I'm actually friends with on Facebook, if you can believe it? Yeah, no joke. Jerry Chivas, yep, called him, wanted him in the game. Great job. Glenn Hall. Glenn Hall played on the St. Louis Blues when the Bruins won the Cup in 1970. Glenn Healy, Grant Fuhrer we knew about. Greg Millen, oh boy, he was a Bruin killer back in the 80s when he was with, I think he was with Hartford. Guy Ebert, Jacques Plante, who's already been in the game, we knew about that. And Jason LaBarbera. Jiggy, Sebastian Giguere. Hedberg, Garrett, Johnny Barra, the old Maple Leaf goalie. Kelly Rudy was big with the Kings. Kurt McLean of the Canucks. Fitzpatrick, Martin Byron, Marty Turco, Matthew Garon, Mike Vernon, Calgary Flames. Patrick Roy, of course, of the Canadiens and the Avalanche. Paul Harrison, Pete Lepresti. These guys I'm not familiar with, so they're either really old or they're really new. Rogashan Vachon. Ron Hextall, can't stand that guy. Ron Lowe of the Capitals. Terry Sawchuk, classic goaltender there. Tommy Soderstrom. Yes, Tony! Tony Esposito. Yeah, I got my Chivas. I got my Tony O in net. I'm happy. I got the two goalies I really wanted on my list in the game. Good to see. Let's round it out. Trevor Kidd, Ty Conklin, Tyler Weeman, Wendell Young, and Zach Burke. Okay, Zach Burke. I don't know if you guys know who Zach Burke is. He played with the New York Rangers briefly. And Zach Burke is the brother of Skid Row singer Sebastian Bach. Yes. And I think I've talked about this before. So if you're familiar with Skid Row, Sebastian Bach, 18 in Life, Youth Gone Wild, I Remember You, all the big hits from Skid Row. This is Sebastian's brother, Zach. And that's his last name, Bjork. So anyway, that rounds out the Legends list here of NHL 19. And it's just a matter of what game modes can we play with. This is Dave.